welcome. We're here today with Cara from Health, Home, and Happiness, and we're so excited because we're going to hear about her carnivore journey. And I've noticed her on YouTube, and we've been actually known each other for like 10 years or something. We go way back from the blogging days, but when I saw she was into carnivore, I was like, I want to hear all about her story and everything. So welcome, Cara.
Thanks, Caitlin. It's so good to see you again. I think the last time I saw you was like 8 years ago to Western Price Conference.
Oh yeah, I know. So it's so when I saw that you were into carnivore, I was like, oh, that's interesting because, I remember when you were doing gaps and, and all the Weston A. Price stuff. And I'm sure I don't think you were as into paleo as I was, but, so now to see you, and tell us why, because you didn't seem, did you have serious health issues that you're trying to heal from, or why were you into gaps? And tell us your whole story.
Oh no, I'm happy to. So I went from standard American diet. I was going to be an RN. I went to like regular nursing school, and I learned, and I use quotes with that as long as you follow what the back of the cereal box says, you've got your health under control. And so I did that. I ate like light Yoplait yogurt. I ate plenty of like sugar and food dyes, and the FDA had it all covered. And then my first daughter was born when I was 23. And she was showing signs of autism by like 6 months, honestly. She was not developing. And I ate standard American diet during that pregnancy, and something was not working. And there was some other stuff going on in our family at the time that could have definitely contributed to that. But I know my diet was not helping. And I sort of still like trusted mainstream medicine. Everyone had told me it was right. So I took her into all the developmental pediatricians. They had no answers for us. And so just out of desperation, because this kid didn't sleep, and she's 2, and I had her little brother as well. She still wasn't sleeping. She was sleeping like maybe a total of 4 hours a day. And she was screaming for hours at a time in the middle of the night, and I was losing it. And so I Googled out of desperation how to cure autism, just like didn't know what else to do. And someone showed, I think it was Nourishing Gourmet forever ago. This is in 2009, maybe, had the GAPS diet can be used to cure autism. I'm like, I'll try it for 30 days. Like, I don't think it's going to work, but I'm so desperate and I did it with her. And this was my first experience changing my diet. And I just saw how powerful that was. Like, other than, I don't know, maybe antibiotics if I had an infection, like I'd never seen anything in mainstream medicine that was that powerful and worked so quickly. And so I immediately became like, oh, well, no matter how many times the doctors have told me diet has nothing to do with this kid. And you've got to remember, this is now 10 years ago. So people our doctor screamed at me that I was going to starve her without giving her gluten. I'm like, what? Even I know that like she's getting plenty of calories, she's growing. So I try not to be super skeptical, but it's almost like I just started doing the opposite of what they said, and she thrived. And like we kept doing the normal treatments and like occupational speech therapy. And she was able to get so much out of those treatments. Like, I feel like she became verbal. She has like good social interaction, like her quality of life by combining the two, and has just been life-changing. So since then I've been hooked. And so it's been now like 10 years that I've been messing with diet stuff, and it's just interesting to see. And so that's how I got started. It's kind of a long-winded approach. Carnivore, I started because I thought it was bull. I thought it was so wrong. I'm just like, this is so dumb. I'm just going to try it for a week and see what happens. And I fell in love with it. So I feel good. I have energy. I had some lingering mental health issues from domestic violence that I thought were just going to be there. It's just like trauma history is just going to like, something's going to be stuck. They got rid of the stuff that therapists hadn't been able to get out in the past 5-10 years of pretty intense, like weekly therapy. And a lot of it had gone, but there was just some lingering stuff that Carnivore got rid of. So I'm a believer. And I guess I'm like stubborn enough that I'll give something a try to disprove it, but I am happy to change my mind. And so definitely changed my mind.
Well, that's awesome. I love to hear when people really take responsibility or, just put their hands in and get their hands dirty and really try something new. Because you can't just say, oh, well, maybe the doctors will fix it, like it's
Yeah.
got to be, you got to try. I mean, of course you work with doctors, but you have to try on your own too. So I love hearing that. That's amazing about your daughter. So how's she doing now?
She's great. She's on keto, and that's like a whole nother thing. But I have taken her off of keto and then put her back on with her teacher knowing what's going on. And so now the teachers completely work with me, keeping her on keto because she is in special ed, but like her social and her cognition is so much better than they ever expected out of her. So it's really exciting to see.
That's awesome. I mean, when you're not getting any sleep, I can see why you were so motivated to help her and get her to sleep through the night at least. So
Exactly.
amazing. Um, and so why? So how do you balance with kids like eating carnivore and dealing with their meals and stuff like that?
That's actually really easy because I have been doing like GAPS, which is a gut healing diet, and it did work really well for her, but it's complicated and you do a lot of the veggies and the fruits and stuff because you're allowed to. Carnivore is so much easier. So I have my kids on meat-based keto right now, and I just make my meat, or I make meat for them. They do eat more often and they eat more than I do. So I just make like breakfast sandwich or breakfast sausage in the morning. And I've got a kid with an egg allergy. So sometimes I'll do eggs for the other two. And it's super fast. It's like I'm not trying to recreate pretend Gap cereal. I'm not like doing this and then that. And then they only want to eat applesauce. And I have to like negotiate that you eat this much of that. And then you can have applesauce. It's just like, here's the meat I put on the table and they take what they want and eat what they want. And it's super simple. And I do that for all three of my meals. Like I'm lucky that my man he likes a really meat heavy diet and he's done keto. So I can serve keto at home and he doesn't get the carb crashes. So like they all switch based on what they're eating outside of the home between fat burning and carb burning, just because sometimes my boys all eat carbs, but my daughter and I are always in ketosis. And so I just cook first carnivore. So first I get the meat done. And then if I want to add some frozen peas for the kids or some berries for the kids, I just put those on the plate. It's crazy how simple this is and how much we're thriving.
That's awesome. That sounds a lot like my sister has two little kids, and that's what she does. I mean, she gives them like meat and berries.
Right?
Like sometimes they're just frozen out of the bag and just
Oh, yeah.
throws them on the, the tray of the, high chair or whatever. I mean, I think your kids are a little bigger. How old is you have a small one, right?
Well, he's 5,
Okay.
but yeah, he's the one that obviously benefited from me knowing nutrition better during his pregnancy. And
Got the prenatal nutrition.
exactly. Oh yeah, and I don't know, while we're on the kids subject, I just took him to the dentist and no cavities. My daughter used to get cavities because she grind her teeth a lot when she had like those autism symptoms. But now no cavities in all three of them, and they don't think any of the three need braces. They're like, you could do braces cosmetically for their bottom teeth, but like this is not something that they need. And that's something that I'm like, well, maybe this will work because their dad and I both needed braces and they didn't, all three of them. So I'm like, that's just right. We just kind of
Talk about a savings. I mean, you could buy, salmon roe for a long time, with all the savings. I know. I mean, I had braces when I was 12 and they were horrible and very expensive.
Exactly.
And so that's a big savings right there. I had to have them, the whole thing. All right. So what is kind of your version of carnivore? What does your day look like and what do you eat?
I'm really inconsistent. So I've been doing dirty carnivore this summer just because I like seasonings on my meat and I'm kind of feeding everyone mostly carnivore, where that's like I'm cooking more for myself when they go off to school, and I'm like might make a big meal for lunch for myself and I'll just do meat and salt. But so I'm even doing some like barbecue sauce and stuff. And I find that's fine. I tried doing a lot. I like garlic. And so I tried doing a lot of garlic and I got some of the joint pain in my feet that came back, it's not been a huge problem of mine. I'm just like, oh, well, I figure if I'm getting like chronic pain in the morning, that's probably not the best thing for my body. So I cut back on garlic a little bit. Mushrooms I add sometimes. I definitely feel better on just meat and not dairy and eggs, but if I'm like craving something and I just want some whipping cream and tea or coffee or something like that, I'll make decaf coffee. I'm mostly off of caffeine. I notice that helps my energy a lot, so I'm not like getting that boost of fake energy and then a crash. Um, so yeah, I'm being really loose about it, but
That
it's just
that doesn't sound that loose.
oh really?
I mean, I don't do a lot of sauces, but if like when I cook for myself, I do salt and stuff. But when I cook for other people, like if I make chicken wings for my husband, I'm gonna eat them. I don't, I'm gonna put cumin and paprika and whatever, but I'm not gonna not eat them. I mean, I don't crave them or anything. But if a meal is ready, I'm not
Right?
gonna like make another meal or something. I
Exactly.
mean, I might. Have you ever done a really strict period of just meat and water?
Um, I haven't. I've done like maybe a week of meat, eggs, water,
Yeah.
and salt. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm so all over the place. Like we're in the middle of moving right now, and I just don't really want to pay that much attention to.
Yeah, I think you have to be in the right headspace and you have to be really like stable, like not traveling and stuff like that. Because if you're out at a restaurant or something, you're not gonna be able to do just really strict on the spices or things like that. But I do want to try it still. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done just meat and water.
Right?
My first month I did like butter and eggs and meat. But I ate chicken too. I don't like chicken, but my husband wants chicken every single meal. So I'm like, so there's always chicken, and I'm like, ugh. But so yeah, I mean, but I think that's what's cool about it. You can always tighten up later if you want to, or you can get the benefits right away from kind of like a more relaxed plan, and then you can always add in take out something, add in something later if you want to. So you're still doing all the bone broths and stuff from gaps and
I do. I think that's just like a gaps thing. Like I can't kick it, and I just feel so good, and I like how my skin looks, and I like how my kids act. So, and it's really easy to do on carnivore. I just like shove all of our bones from the meals into a bag, and I just shove it in the Instant Pot with filtered water once every 10 days, and then when it's used up, I mix more.
I know. I mean, I think people overthink broth so much.
Oh yeah.
It's so annoying. Like they're like, "How did you do it?" And da, 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 da. And I'm like, I do exactly what you said. I have bones in a bag, and then they're old bones that or new bone, whatever. It doesn't matter. I have old ones, new ones. I mix them all up. It doesn't matter. Like people
Yeah.
are overthinking this. Like, and they think they have to be Julia Child when they make broths. Like, no, you don't. Like, there may be some nuance, but most people, when I cook with my broth, I mean, I usually don't mix beef and chicken just because, like, beef does, I think, smell gross. But I can stand it, but my husband hates it. So I try to stick with chicken broth just to like preserve, the sanity around here. But I think that people, if they just get more comfortable with it, they'll get over the fear. Just try it. It's not that big of a deal. Um, so now, when you started, were you doing any tracking of any kind of macros, or because I mean, I know you've probably done keto before, and people are so obsessed with the tracking. What's your
Um,
take on that?
I track because I have a tendency to skip meals and then get grumpy. So I track calories and I do somewhat track fat because I know I do well on like 80% of my calories from fat. So that is a lot of fat. And so I did track more just if I was feeling off instead of saying, oh, I don't think carnivore is working for me because I feel gross. I'm like, oh, I ate 700 calories yesterday and today. Like, of course, I'm going to feel gross. Um, and so making sure I eat enough has been my thing. I'm not someone like, I don't know. I'm kind of a eat to live person.
You don't
And
think about it. You don't think about it, and then a bunch of hours have gone by, and then
yeah,
well, and it sounds like I mean you've got a full house to take care of, and so I mean if you didn't have any kids like I do, you just like live to eat. you're like, when is it time to eat again? No, but it has helped a lot with like my appetite and stuff. Like I can eat 2 meals a day now, whereas before I needed to have, 3.
Right.
So what do you think is so okay, so you track that just to keep yourself eating enough and not and also how do you get the fat high because that's really high percentage and like even a ribeye is not going to have that percentage.
I add in fat. So I have a little jar of tallow and I'll add that. And I add a lot of butter. Like even if I say I'm doing dairy free, I'm doing dairy free plus butter or ghee. Like if I'm being really particular about it, I'll take the solids out of the butter, which just like bone broth, that's like something people super overthink. It's super easy to make your own ghee. Yeah.
I have a video on that too. I'm sure you do too. On how to make ghee. It's so easy.
It is. And so, yeah, I'll add in extra fats. I'm trying to think of what else I do.
So like for example, if you had sometimes, so like if you had a bowl of ground beef, you just throw some butter on top or
exactly.
Okay. Like you chop it up, like kind of like taco meat.
Yeah, that's like my go-to this summer. If I'm not eating raw is super easy, and I just like cut up a steak and eat it raw. And I feel like that's easier to get high fat because the fat's not melting out of it, So I guess I don't try it completely, but yeah, for ground beef is I just brown it up, pour the drippings over it, and then like let butter melt a little bit, and then kind of mix it in, and it's
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you about raw. Like, do you do that a lot, or?
I do it when it's too hot to cook, and I'm like, I'm hungry and I'm grumpy and I should eat, and I don't want to eat, and so I just cut it into little bite-sized pieces. I don't know. It seems to work.
Wow, I mean, I haven't gotten into that. The texture, I feel like I have had tartare and stuff like in France or something like that, or at a fancy place in California or something, but it seemed like they put a lot of garlic, which I think made me feel a little like better about the food poisoning or something. Like maybe that would offset would make it antibacterial or something. But I could probably eat ground beef, but I don't think I could eat raw steak. How did you get started with that?
I think it's just because I'm like well, first of all, we're in Montana, and so I'm like redneck. I grew up in California and I've done the fancy stuff, and I'm just not. I'm just like, whatever, good enough is good enough. And so, but we have a lot of really good grass-fed beef that's local, and I know like I can go visit their farm if I want. I know these people take good care of their meat, so I'm really confident in the source of meat. It never smells off. Like sometimes if I get chicken from even Costco, like it smells off. I don't think I'd eat raw chicken, but raw beef I have no problem with, or butcher box I have no problem with because it smells super clean. And I'm one of those people that like, I'm like indestructible. Like I say, I'm like a cockroach. Like I'm just not someone that is susceptible to food poisoning. And I know kitchen standards. I've worked in a commercial kitchen before, and that was drilled into my head. Like raw meat is poison was like the kitchen tagline. But I've left stuff out plenty of times and eaten it and been fine. Like I feel like maybe my stomach acid is lower, like the pH is lower than most people, which is higher stomach acid. And so it just never really bothered me. And I was hot and I needed something easy to eat this summer. So I'm like, I'm just going to try it. And it tastes like butter. It's super mild. You should try it.
Okay.
And then it's funny that you said you do ground beef because I guess if I freshly ground it, which I'm not doing, I would do that. But ground beef's the least likely one that I would do. I just do a steak.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't eat. I mean, I'm just saying I wouldn't do it myself, but like I've had it at a restaurant.
Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't just, I mean, I'm not there yet. So maybe, but I've just been so happy with what I've been eating. I haven't had the really feeling like I want to branch out into that. But like if I was in France or something, sure, I would eat beef tartare or whatever. But I mean, maybe you never know because I never thought I would just only eat meat. So who knows? And yeah, that's really cool. Like I've been to like Jackson Hole and stuff and eaten, I've seen all the restaurants with the elk and all this, different kind of stuff. And you're like, oh, that's cool. You have access to that because they really don't down here. In the South, we don't have I guess people have deer that they kill and stuff, but you have to know somebody who like killed a deer.
Yeah. No, and actually when I talk about ground beef, I'm actually talking about ground elk. I just like I say beef because most people do not eat ground elk, but yeah, my man hunts and we have like 500 pounds of elk every year at least. So
That's great. This is a perfect diet for you. Then you can save money.
oh yeah.
Um, so how do you deal with? I mean, you were think you were carnivore over like the holidays and stuff. So how did you deal with that? Like,
Actually, I wasn't. I started in February.
oh, okay. I started in October.
Oh, okay.
So, but at Christmas I ate like a ton of cheese, and I made like keto cheesecakes and stuff. But a few times, but mostly I was like 99, 99%. Other than like two times I had like erythritol or something. Uh, but so have you had how do you deal with like special occasions and holidays and stuff?
I'm trying to think. I ate an ice cream cake on my birthday, like Cold Stone. So I'm not strict, but also I'm not dealing with like super chronic health problems because I know you're doing thyroid stuff and I'm not. And so I can like go unstrict and I'm not like gonna mess up my digestive system for the next month. It's like I can definitely feel it when I go off and I go right back on. But it probably, I don't know, once a month, once every 6 weeks, I do go off. And it's more, I don't know, like a social thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it like reminds me, it kind of renews my, oh yeah, you really like to eat meat. Just like
Symptoms, yeah, you need a reminder. I mean, like the other night I ate a little bit of guacamole with some fajita meat, and like I got some like heartburn. And I mean, I'm not somebody who's like, I'm not chronically, I mean, I guess I have Hashimoto's, but I'm not as sensitive as other people to some things. Like I'm pretty strong, but that's probably because of all the work I've done in the past. But if I eat the guacamole, I was like, then the next day I was really snacky too. So I mean, sometimes you just need those reminders, like why. I mean, you kind of have to convince yourself. It's like sticking your toe. It's like touching an electric fence or something. It's like
just gotta test that electric fence every month. Just make sure it's electric.
And I mean, it had, I'm sure guacamole, has onions or garlic or whatever and tomatoes. And so it was like, I could feel it kind of like coming up. And I was like, okay, I'm glad, I'm glad I didn't deprive myself, but I was also like, I don't need to eat that again, anytime soon. So maybe if I just had avocado, that would have been better, but I was at a restaurant, so whatever. All right, so we talked about the raw. So I mean, then what motivates you? I mean, if you don't have like a serious issue that you're dealing with, I mean, other than your family members, what motivates you to stay on it?
Oh, yeah, I do. So I have like pretty significant mental health stuff. Like it's PTSD and it's not combat related, which a lot of people have issues with, but you can get PTSD from domestic violence for sure. And it keeps it in check. And so it just makes me a lot functional. So where I'm not like crippled in bed, I will like walk around my house in a haze for the next couple days. And so I can walk around my house in a haze for a couple days, but I need to like snap out of it. And so eating clean keeps me snapped out of it. But I just feel like since it's like I am still functional, I'm just not happy about it. It's different than people that are like, if they are celiac and they eat gluten and then they're in bed for the next week. It's not like that for me,
But I mean, I know I have people in my family that have had domestic violence, and like they have such severe anxiety that it can be crippling, and can be like they can't even, like, you almost have to like hug them. And I mean, it's like you have to like, so I've dealt with it personally, and so I can, that is not just, it's not only combat. You don't have to.
I know. And it's, yeah, but people usually, I don't know, I usually get nasty comments in YouTube from a few people like, oh, you can't have that because you didn't go to war. And
but not feeling safe in your home, I mean, there's nothing, I can't imagine worse something than that. I mean, you have to feel safe in your own home. I mean, that's like a hierarchy of needs,
Right? Yeah, so, no, you get it then. So yeah, that's why I'm motivated to continue. And well, and plus it's like I have more energy, I'm happier, I get more done, like I can run further. Like it's like the couch to 5K. I'm not a runner, I'm a swimmer, but I tried doing couch to 5K. Like I probably started it 10 times and I'm further in couch to 5K than I've ever gotten. And I'm 36. It's like I tried this all through my 20s. And I've just always wanted to be a runner because it's really convenient, but I haven't been one. And so it's just like little things like that. It's like I can do more push-ups than I ever could in my life. Like, why would I not want to be this? And it's not like it's gross. It's like delicious. I like meat.
Yeah. Well, and you're never hungry and you don't have to, and it's so much easier for food prep and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've noticed, and I mean, one of the big things with me is like when I would exercise before, I could never build any muscle. Something about my Hashimoto's, it was like my body was just like limp or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could exercise, but I would never see any benefit. It was like nothing would change, and it was just so it was very demotivating to exercise. And now I feel like I mean, I just started exercising like about a month ago, and I can actually see a muscle or something. So I feel like something changed in that way because it used to just be, okay, what's the point of exercising? I mean, I felt it better when I exercised, but it wasn't, you could never see anything. So it's like, come on.
Exactly.
Um, okay, so you said you do eat grass fed mostly. What's your take on that whole grass fed? I mean, where we come from, the background of Weston A. Price and all that, it's almost like blasphemy to say that grass fed doesn't matter. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Like,
Yeah.
and then, but now in the carnivore, it's like everybody's saying it doesn't matter, whatever, you know.
Well, I think the thing is, and this is something that like knowing your source of meat is helpful if you can. So we know a lot of ranchers out here, like they ranch. And then I know a lot of ranchers in the eastern part of the state, and they like feed their cows, like they'll go to the Hostess bakery and just get like day old stuff and feed their cows all that sugar and sprinkles and crap and like hydrogenated oils. Here, like the non-grass fed is like these cows are on pasture. So if cows aren't on pasture, they die. Like, so the small cows are always on pasture, like they need it. And then they give them some corn and some grains, and it might be GMO, whatever, but still, they're still on pasture. Like I can see them out there eating grass. And so they are still like even finished 80% grass fed, and they get that 20% grain to fatten them up. And it does, like that does fatten them up for sure. I'm fine with like that kind of beef. It's the ones that are eating the Hostess stuff. And that's probably like the stuff they're selling to Sysco low end, like Sysco has different ends. And like I can't imagine it even makes good beef. It makes beef and it's fat, but that's like disgusting. So I think you can do like super grass fed, which is the stuff that I buy a subscription to. But when we run out of that and I have to go get meat that I think still tastes like meat, I don't know. I feel like you can taste a difference in meat that's like completely disgusting and meat that has been a little bit supplemented. So our Smith's, I think, has good meat. It's like fine. Our Costco, I don't mind. Like Walmart, I don't buy beef from Walmart. And so I guess that's what I do is I buy as much as I can grass fed because I really believe in it, like environmentally, health wise, like the omega-3s and all of that. But if it's between feeding my kids like grains that I know they're just going to poop out and it's going to give them rashes and stuff, or grass fed or grain fed beef from Smith's that I know they don't react to, like I buy as much as I can. And then like seriously, family of 5, we spend like $1,000 a month on food, and we're using a lot of elk that I'm not even counting in that. And so it's expensive to feed people. And until a few months ago, I was a single mom. Like now I have help in my household, but I was a single mom with these kids for 8 years and I did the best I could, but now they eat more than I do. So I can't keep up. So I still buy, and that's what I encourage people to do. Like if you can get 1 box of Butcher Box every other month, it's better than nothing. But if you need to fill in, and sometimes I'll fill in with that cheap chicken, and I like chicken, bone in, skin on chicken. I like it. So sometimes I'll do that. And I think I don't know, it's like not ideal, but also I have people and I need to feed them. So that's what I do.
Yeah, well, I like that. I mean, that sounds really similar to what I do. I mean, I buy a lot of ground beef that's grass fed and organic, and I shop my farmer's market, and we bought a cow recently from a farmer, and we bought a deep freezer and we put it in there, and I made a video about that. And then we also, and I buy organs, especially if I buy organs, I always try to buy them from the farmer that's because I feel like they're cheap anyway. So like, I feel like it's important to buy organs from a good source. And then eggs, I'll try to buy really good eggs. But then when it comes to steaks and stuff, they're so expensive. I'll just buy whatever's on sale at the store or Costco or so I mean a mix like based on your budget I think is probably the only way, especially if like I mean I have a husband who eats a lot too, so and we probably spend about the same as you, maybe more on food. But I feel like I'd rather pay, like, you know, the saying of I'd rather pay the farmer than the doctor. I mean, so I feel like it's worth it to me. And I mean, I'm a foodie too. I'm a foodie, so it's the main place I want to spend my money. I mean, I'll shop my clothes at Goodwill, but I want my food to be good, you know?
Yeah.
So, um,
and then
so
when you said that about the organ meat, that reminded me, you can put some effort into it. So like I've been in Montana a long time and I've made relationships. And so like when I go to the butcher that's local and I just put the cat on raw cat food for kidney disease and the cat's thriving. It's great. Like you can look at that video if you want. But I went there and I needed hearts and I needed liver and I needed kidney. And then he sees me come in with these kids and he knows what I'm trying to do, which is like feed us all appropriate. And I ask if he has anything that's been marked down or like is a little freezer burnt. And he just loads up my box and like he'll take a bunch of percentage off. And so building those relationships, and this is your food. It's just like you build, like I have a relationship with my family doctor and she knows my quirks. And it's just making that relationship with the people around you. And it takes time. I've been in Bozeman now for 5 years. And I just now have this. And I had it in Billings when we lived over in the Billings area. But it takes time. And so just be patient. And if you have to do grocery store while you're finding better sources, like I would never ask anyone to be homeless so that they could afford grass-fed beef. Like there's some people that'll take that extreme stance, but that's ridiculous. So just do the best you can and then just persistently work at it and you'll find something.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So what do you see long term with carnivore? What is your kind of goals and outlook on doing carnivore for a lifestyle, or tell me about that?
I thought I'm like, I'll do this for 30 days and then I'll go back. I can't go back. Like I just feel too good. And I think that we're just going to be meat based. And so meat based plus keto or meat based plus birthday cake sometimes. Like that might just be what it is. I think that most of our meals are going to be mostly meat forever.
That's great. And it sounds like me. I just like a keto cheesecake here and there. Well, that's awesome. You found a way to fit with your family and that helps you with your mental health. I think that'll help a lot of people who are listening to this because, you know, not enough people talk about the mental health aspect. And then anybody who has, you know, a challenge with autism, they can listen. And Cara's got tons and tons of videos about your journey with that, right?
Oh yeah. Gosh, YouTube's just so addicting because I can like talk to you. And I like it so much better than I like writing, but it just seems more genuine that I can say like, you can really do this. And I feel like it comes across better on YouTube. So yeah, I do have lots of YouTube.
Yeah, well, so tell us where you can find all your stuff and what you're working on now, what's coming up for you.
Okay, perfect. Let me grab this. I think I have it here. Sorry. I'm Health, Home, and Happiness everywhere, like Instagram, YouTube. Like definitely you guys that are watching on YouTube will probably appreciate my YouTube more than anything. That's where I am most of the time now. I have a lot of books and classes. So if you wanted to do GAPS diet or if you have picky eaters, I can get picky eaters to eat. And this works for like sensory and autism kids because that's just kind of like, I like this population and I work a lot with parents locally that have kids with special needs. And so then I try to do what I teach locally into classes as well. I have a freezer cooking class if you wanted to do freezer cooking. And then recently I know that just from my GAP stuff, sometimes it's really hard to wrap your head around changing your diet. And so I have a 30-day carnivore meal plan, and I'm in the middle of fixing the formatting, but it is on Amazon, and you can buy the PDF version if you want. And it just goes through different versions of carnivore. So there's like meat and salt, and then meat, eggs, and salt, meat, eggs, salt, and dairy. And then finally with seasonings, which is that dirty carnivore that I'm talking about that I do now. And so you can get it in paperback, or you can just print a PDF. So I've got that. And I think Caitlin you'll leave a link. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Or you can find that it's on most of my videos if you click down in the description.
Well, I'll link down to her videos and to her new workbook and meal plan thing. And that's awesome because I know people ask me all the time for stuff, and I'm working on something, but I haven't finished it yet. So, so follow Cara, and how often do you do videos?
I aim for once a week, and sometimes it skips weeks, and sometimes it's more, but goal. Goal is every Monday.
Well, it's so good to catch up with you, and so, I hope this has been helpful. Please like my channel, subscribe, share this with a friend who can use it, and follow Cara over on Health, Home, and Happiness. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Caitlin.